Good morning, y'all. This is Jay Tesla here. We are here for the MMA Morning After UFC 259. Great card, great card. Of course, it is the morning after. I made a little breakfast. So this is salmon and rice, Alaskan salmon, actually. Oh, a drink, not an alcoholic drink, which is actually some peach tea I had left over. But when I get into the fights, there's a lot to talk about today, especially the last three fights of the night. So let's get into the early prelims first. Let's go over that a bit. I didn't get a chance to check out two of the fights, but the rest I pretty much watched. Three of the fights. So Trevin Jones beats Mario Batista. Second round via TKO. I heard that was one of the two big TKOs that start the night off, so that was really dope. The plus 180 underdog, plus 180 dog or favorite. So the favorite won. Actually, in both the first two fights, that was at bantamweight. The second one was at lightweight. Cruz lost to Euros Medic, which is the funniest name ever for a fighter. Lightweight bout, made a $140. First round, but via TKO. It was a minus 177 dog. Amanda Leos beat Lavina Souza, women's strawweight bout. First round TKO. So we had literally basically no judge made the first three fights. There were no judges involved. Going into the next couple fights, I did catch the last three of the early prelims. Talk about Sean Brady for a quick minute. Sean Brady's a beast. The fact that he was able to do that to Jake Matthews, who is a big guy, was really interesting. But Sean Brady, let's also talk about the tattoo game. He's got that on point. Amazing tattoos. But it was a good fight for him. He really did. It was surprising how big he was on the ground and how he was able to keep him down at welterweight. So we'll see what happens. I hope Sean Brady gets a ranked number next to his name soon, but also gets a higher opponent as well. I think he deserves to go to higher competition. Next we had in the light heavyweight division, Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Carlos Ulberg, who is one of Izzy Israel Adesanya's teammates. This is kind of everyone thought, okay, one of Izzy's teammates lost. That means Izzy's probably gonna lose later in the night, which we saw what happened. Yeah, this was a very interesting fight because Ulberg was winning the fight. Legitimately, Ulberg had Kennedy pretty much just messed up. He was able to tag whenever he felt like it. The issue, however, is that Kennedy baited a trap for Ulberg. Ulberg never rocked his head along with the punches whatsoever, or fainted or moved in any kind of way. This time, Kennedy made him do that. And when he did that to swing a punch, Kennedy saw that and went for the kill shot. Mouthpiece damn near flew out. Ball game after that. Tim Elliott versus Jordan Espinoza. That was a 3-round decision, unanimous. I really want to know what was said between Tim Elliott and Jordan Espinoza, because it sounded like it said something about him beating women, which I'm not going to get into. That's not what we're here for, but I'm hoping that was just trash talk and that wasn't something more serious. That's the early prelims. Let's go into the prelims. Let's see. Kai Kara France versus Rodrigo Bontorin in the flyweight division. Kara France was losing this fight. Without question, was losing this fight. He got, at one point he became a backpack. Like he had Rodrigo was literally had him basically done for. He was a minus 141 dog, a Kai Kara France, but he managed to get a knockout win. Amazing knockout. I know Rodrigo was mad because he felt as though he could have kept going, but dude, your braid bun was literally skirting against the actual canvas. If it was any louder, it was like a car tire went off. That was a good fight though. I really like that fight. The next one was a flyweight fight too. Joseph Davidez versus Askarov, which is the funniest name ever. Askarov. Yeah, Joseph Davidez looked lost in there. No offense to him. I know he's a legend, but he looked lost in there. Askarov was a minus 134 dog in the fight, but pretty much dominated him from beginning to end. That was a very good fight. Bantamweight, we had two bantamweight fights to end the prelims. Song Yadong lost it to Kyler Phillips. Kyler Phillips was a plus 115 betting favorite. It went unanimous decision. Pretty good fight by Kyler. Did a good job to strike with him. Kept on the fence, whatever. Dominick Cruz versus Casey Kennedy. Cruz won. He was a plus 110 favorite. He actually asked for one of the judges not to ref his fight because of what happened last time. But Cruz looked good. Cruz looked really, really good. Again, it's so hard keeping up with his cadence. The fact that he made his own cadence for how he moves in the ring makes him a really hard person to fight up against. And Casey just found out the hard way. Cruz was able to move in and out of range when he felt like it. He was able to set the pace how he wanted to and go from there. And the only one we've ever seen that's been able to mimic this pace is TJ Dillashaw. But yeah, it was a really good fight. Something that definitely was looking to the hype, for sure. Now, we get to the main card, and this is where the shit's about to get real, because we're gonna have a long conversation about all the title fights. So let's get through the two fights that were non-title fights on the main card. Thiago Santos versus Alexander Rakic. Rakic won. 3-round decision, unanimous. Thiago didn't do much to win this fight. He did. I think he was coming off the loss to Glover, but before that, he was still coming off that knee injury, which he tore his PCL, MCL, LCL. He had to get surgery on both knees. So I think, yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I think Thiago might have some like lingering issues with the fight, lingering issues with with that injury. And he needs to take some time and definitely get past any fear of exploding, because he didn't look explosive tonight. He really didn't. He didn't, or yesterday night, last night. He didn't look explosive. He didn't look explosive at all. He looked kind of timid almost. But Rakic played a good fight. He was a minus 167 underdog, but he definitely knew what he had to do. I'm gonna kick the knee and put fear into you almost. Like, I think him kicking the knees of Santos kind of shocked Santos a little bit. And he was like, well, I don't know exactly if I should move forward or if I should explode or not, because what happens if my ligaments tear again? Can I really deal with this? Drew Dober versus Islam Makhachev. I believe that ended in a, let's see if I can pull. It ended in a right arm triangle. Yeah, an arm triangle. Round 3. A minute 37 into the round. Islam Makhachev is of what happened if Khabib were to grab his finger, pull it off, and make a clone. It was pretty much it felt like watching Khabib again. Islam outstruck him 102 to 14 total strikes, 15 to 10 significant strikes, three takedowns to 0 takedowns. Islam got what he wanted when he wanted. It's that pressure. I mean, we gotta be real here. The camp that Khabib comes out of here comes out of with him and his father are just insane on how they actually do things. So now we're gonna get to the first championship fight, and this is one that's probably gonna take up the most time. I think the first one, the third one, are gonna take up the most time of what we need to talk about. Aljamain Sterling versus Peter Yan. Went to 4 rounds. Aljamain Sterling is now the new bantamweight champion. Peter Yan is no longer, and is because of disqualification. Now, if you're looking at the image or video, I'm hoping it's up. I'm hoping I was able to find this video. My future self was able to find this video. But the reason Yan is no longer champion is because of an illegal knee he threw to Aljamain Sterling in the 4th round with 4 minutes and 29 seconds left. So he had 30 seconds left on the clock and could have won the round. Yan was pretty, I would say going into the 5th, Yan was up at least 3 rounds to 1. At least. I think Sterling could have been given the 1st round, and the next 3 were all Yan. But what's interesting, before we go into the other part of this fight, the post-fight stuff, looking at the numbers, Yan was outstruck by Sterling. Sterling threw 119 strikes to 103. He threw 97 significant strikes to 86. And then the only thing I think, and then takedown wise, Yan has 7. He hit 7 for 7. Sterling went for 17 takedowns, only got 1, so he had a 6%. Sorry, yeah, 6% of his takedown actually worked. No submission attempts, only 1 knockdown. Now, the significant strikes by target, Aljo was piecing him up quite well. A lot of Yan's striking was going toward the head. Not a lot of it was going toward the body or the legs. Aljo was hitting. Aljo basically figured from middle up. He was throwing more body shots going and then going to the top. He was very interesting. It was very interesting how he was actually striking Yan. And there's significant strikes by position, distance. Aljo had it. He had it in the clinch. The only place he didn't have was the ground. Now, what I want to get to is, of course, I'm taking off my glasses because I'm a little annoyed with this, is the way the knee went down. Now, again, I am hoping that my future self is pulling up the video. I'm not going to play the sound of this, but I want y'all to understand what I heard. What I heard and what I saw was Sterling had both of his hands flat on the, if I could do it like this, had both of his hands flat on the canvas, right? So both hands are flat down. Both hands, the knees are down. In that position, you are told you are not to throw a knee. A kick, maybe. If you're kicking to the leg or the stomach, sure. Not to the head. The headshots can't be happening because there's no physical way you can protect yourself. And the only way you can protect yourself or defend if his hands are down, knees are down, is if he's going for your leg to take you down, is if you sprawl and land on top of him or the side of him or whatever. And then from there, you're both at equal level. And now you can attack how you attack. And the person can defend how they need to defend. Yan did not do that. Yan hit a Kenny Omega V-trigger on Sterling and knocked him out cold. I don't care what anyone is saying that Aljamain was rolling around like he's trying to win the Oscar. You get kicked in the head with a knee or a knee strike. That's why it's illegal. Now, unfortunately, there is audio of people in Yan's corner telling him to throw the knee after Yan asked, could I throw the knee? The reason that is interesting is because Khabib was there. Khabib overheard what happened, walked over and asked, then told DC what happened. Now, was the sequence of events makes no sense. The rep tells him knee is down, 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 not once, but twice. When he does that, okay, regardless of what has happened, the ref that is going to ref your fight talks to both fighters before they walk out. Before they walk out, he talks to both of them. They both go over the rules of, like, the ref goes to both camps, talks to them about what he wants, what he doesn't want to see, what he does want to see. The key words he's going to use. So especially if it's an international fighter. So if he says cage, that probably means do not grab the cage. If he says down, that means the opponent is down. Do not strike him. Because they want to keep the fight clean. No ref is out here trying to make the rules for himself. But my issue with this is people that are saying, that are basically agreeing to the knee, doing what happening. Perfect. Let's go over this. Henry Cejudo said the following, and I pulled it from MMA Fighting.com, but I want to pull this up. Henry Cejudo, hey, Yan, you need to come back. You need to come back to save this division. You need me to come back to save this division. That knee was more illegal than TJ Dillashaw's urine. Aljo, your defense was in the Capitol building. I'll make all of you bend the knee, legally, of course. Then you had Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson, who is a former champion over in the UFC, is a current champion over at One Championship, said, here's the thing, that you can't start a fight by sitting on your knees. Knees to a ground opponent should be allowed. We're going to have a conversation about that. TJ, and the Oscar goes to Fake Master for best acting in a title fight, and Peter Yan needs a crash course in rules of the sport he was once champion in. Hey, Peter, now you're a cheater. I'm not going to say the last word. Now, let's talk about this real quick. Aljo is not faking this. I don't want to hear any Aljo slander ever after this. The man did not want the belt that way. It showed it at the post-fight. He was crying his head off because he had been grinding year after year after year after year after year to get a title shot. Everyone passing him by. He finally gets a title shot as the guy he wanted to fight in Yan pulled out last year. He pulls out, so he has to wait even longer. Sterling fights him, has a pretty good fight. I would say Sterling did good in the first round. Had he kept the pressure he had in the first round, it would be a different fight. But to win the belt that way, it's not cool in his book. He's now a champion. He's the first Jamaican champion that the UFC's ever had, but he doesn't want to win the title that way. No one would. No one would. I don't care if you're heartless or not. If you grind it that long in any career, you never want to win a championship that way. Or you don't want to have success that way. To everyone that is basically saying that Yan threw the knee illegally, yeah, because my whole thing is, again, if the ref talked to you prior to the fight, if you have to ask your coaches, can I throw this knee? Don't throw it. That's a rule for anyone watching MMA. If you have to ask your refs, I don't care if you speak English or your native tongue, if you have to ask your coaches, should I throw this knee? Your coaches, who all should know the rules before the fight because they have to train you in those rule set. No, don't throw it whatsoever. So a lot of people are saying, and they even came out and said, well, we didn't have an automatic rematch between Yan and Sterling. No, the fuck we don't. As far as I'm concerned, Yan might get suspended. I want y'all to think about this. And don't be surprised if this week going forward, Dillashaw does not start pointing this out. Hold on, y'all. Let me get this straight. I was suspended for 2 years for cheating with an illegal substance after my bantamweight championship fight. Now, this guy, for some weird reason, because I was losing the fight, because I lost the fight, this guy, because he was winning the fight, throws an illegal knee, and now they're automatically talking about no suspension, and he gets an automatic rematch for a championship? No. As far as I'm concerned, Yan should be suspended for at least 6 months. At least. His coaches should be suspended for at least 6 months. And I don't know if this was his ATT coaches or his coaches from back home, but someone has to go for a minute, including Yan. Yan has to be fined for this. Because I want you all to think, the Las Vegas Athletic Commission has fined niggas for less. They fined Khabib 6 months for what he did against Conor McGregor. Jumping out the cage, attacking fans while the governor's right there. Yan is no different. Yan needs to be suspended. He needs to be. He has to be. And if it's by Vegas, it's by Vegas. But Sterling should not have to rematch against him. As far as I'm concerned, Sterling should fight Dillashaw or Sandhagen again. Run Sandhagen back. But Yan does not get a title shot immediately. Because here's what happens. If Sterling beats Yan in the rematch, then what are we going to say? Oh, well, it's now 1-1. Is it though? Yan cheated the first time. He literally cheated. There's no excuse for that. He had his hands on, that's another thing we have to mention. He had his hands on Sterling's neck. He held him down. And then he released it and threw the knee. No. As far as I'm concerned, no. Yan does not deserve a title shot immediately. Yan, I thought Yan was a paper or kind of like a paper champion before. This doesn't help it whatsoever. To do something like that when you're winning the fight, you're winning the fight. And I don't even want to discuss the ref or the judge that somehow had Sterling up on the cards, but that's a whole different thing. But this needs to be corrected. So Sterling's the champion right now, and sure he doesn't want the belt that way. And he even said it was distasteful how the knee was thrown after he watched it back. But he's concussed. He's gonna be out for a minute. You can't hold the bantamweight division up. Sure, Sterling might fight in the summer, but who to say Yan is? It can't. And so right now, the way the world's going, you only really have here in Vegas or on Fight Island. I think Fight Island is under the Vegas rules. I could be wrong. So what happens then? But that's the first title fight of the night. I believe the second one was the co-main event. Yep, the co-main event. With Amanda the Lioness Nunez versus Megan Anderson. Megan, who's on her last fight of her contract, versus Amanda, who had an injury, is coming back from having, and just has a new kid. The two-division champion right now. Okay. This wasn't a fight. This was a mercy beating. Flat out. I love Megan Anderson. I think she's one of the best people in the sport. If you have not watched her YouTube channel, where she breaks down fights. And congratulations to her for making a Twitch partner. Not a lot of people can do that. It's a goal of mine as well. I'm happy that she actually does it. She's had battles with mental health. So I'm really proud of her. That she even took this fight because she's a legit 145er. Nunez is different. She's just different, bro. She's just different. She's a monster in there. She's an actual monster. People are calling her the greatest women's fighter of all time. No, she's getting close to the greatest of all time. Like she's getting up there with the George St. Pierre and the Khabib Nurmagomedov talk. She's really getting up there. She's held these. Her holding these titles is no longer a championship run. It's a reign of terror. No one has been able to truly stop this woman. She assassinated Cyborg. She mercy beat Rousey so bad she went to WWE. She retired Misha Tate. She psycho kicked Holly Holm. There's no one really left for her in 145. And I wouldn't be surprised. They mentioned it last night. They even had Dana talk on the mic during the pay-per-view, which we never see. 145 division is done, y'all. I think it is. I really do think it is. I think the only way I can see this going is if they make Nunez give up one of the belts. They're gonna have to. What I think is gonna end up happening. And by the way, Nunez won. She outstruck her. She won via a arm triangle from not on top of her, but on the from side control almost. So what I can see happening is Nunez has to drop the 145 belt and they do a super fight with Nunez versus Valentina Shevchenko. That's the only fight I can really see. I can't see anyone else challenging Nunez for either of her belts. Really, I think, and sure, Joanna Pena wants to fight Nunez next at 135. That could be a good fight. I highly doubt it, but that could be a good fight. Yeah, she's just different, man. She really is. She's a monster. She's an actual monster in that cage. Probably one of the nice people in the world. But the second she walks in there, game time. There's not much to say about this fight. I think Megan, unfortunately, that was the last fight on her contract. I think she will get a resign. I think they want to keep the 145 pound division, and I think I'm hoping Nunez drops one of the belts, drops the 145 belt. Me can go for that title. Jermaine the Mandarin can come in that fight. And Dana, in this time of people that are 145 trying to get work in the MMA, sign up some 145ers. Sign up some female 145ers. At this point, you either got one or two options. You either make Nunez fight Valentina Shevchenko, or you have Nunez go fight some dudes. And I put money on Nunez. But let's get to the main event of last night's event. Israel Adesanya versus Yanblahovic. That was a great fight. A great fight. I don't like going into a fight liking both people. I don't. I really don't. I have my favorites. And Izzy's one of my favorites. I think Izzy belongs in that anomaly group. Him, Anderson Silva, John Jones, Demetrius Johnson, Khabib, just Kamaru Usman, dudes that are just so good at their craft that, and Max Holloway as well. Dudes that are so good at their specific skill set, it almost becomes like watching a flow state happen in real time. Like watching Ultra Instinct happen in real time. Jan is getting to that point where he's become one of my favorites. Jan, looking at the numbers, Jan outstruck Izzy, outstruck his significant strikes, 184 to 99, 107 to 78, 3 takedowns to 0. And Jan just targeted the head and the body a little bit, and Izzy focused more so on the head and the legs. He's trying to chop that tree down. I know a lot of people are going to come after Izzy for, number one, not weighing at 205, weighing at 200 pounds. I don't think that 5 pound, I don't think that 4.5 pound difference, because it was 201.5. I don't think that 4 pound difference was going to make a 3.5 pound difference was going to make a big difference. What did make a difference, though, was Jan's weight. For everyone that knows, and that's not in the know, when they weigh you, you're supposed to weigh in the championship weight, which is 205. But more than likely, when you fight the night, that next night, you're probably going a little bit more. So, like, I'm going to say, and based off what Joe Rogan kind of mentioned last night, I'm going to say Jan he walked in the cage that night at 220, 225 at best. And that's a lot of weight. You kind of saw that when Jan took, when Jan, not Peter Yan, but Jan Blachowicz. You kind of saw that there in the fight when Jan took Izzy to the ground and Izzy couldn't get him off of him. We've seen Izzy somewhat had to scramble before at 185, but that's been different because he's been a lankier guy and kind of heavy. The only guy that's actually had some success against him on the taking him to the ground was Kelvin Gastelum. I think Izzy looked good. Izzy looked good striking wise. Like, I think Izzy started getting to his flow, and I was like, okay, nope. You saw it more so in the 5th round. I think the fifth round to me decided the entire fight. Izzy was going to his flow, and Yan said, nope, we're not doing that, and took him straight to the ground and stayed on his ass for at least 3 minutes. Like, nope, I'm not letting you up. I'm going to just ground and pound you. I'm going to move you around the cage. I'm going to make sure you can't get up. I'm going to just smother you. And I think that's what won Izzy the fight. Now, going forward, I saw that John Jones, of course, commented, and so did Paulo Costa. Paulo Costa, out of everyone here, you kind of got to shut up, because, like, you said you drunk wine the night before. You waited 8 months to say this. Miss me with that. John. Weren't you supposed to fight Blachowicz? Was it supposed to be you? Oh, that's right. You left to go to heavyweight. So now you're saying December is when you're going to fight. And don't get me wrong, I'm a fan of John, but you're saying December when you're going to fight. Who's to say Miocic or Ngannou wants to fight you in December? Who said that they just want the division to go on? And who's to say you're going to win? If you want to be honest here, the reason a lot of people are worried about that fight and ring rust, look at what happened with Conor. Conor wasn't in the ring for a minute. No, he wasn't in the ring for a year. A year now. John hasn't been in the ring for going on 2 years. Yesterday makes the 2-year anniversary. John fought February of, was it February 2020? Let's see. John fought his last fight. Let's see when his last fight was, y'all. And now he's saying the fight between him and the super fight between him and Izzy is kind of off. I don't know how it will be off, seeing how Izzy has a title and you don't. The only way it will make sense so basically I'm guessing John is saying that because Izzy didn't win the light heavyweight belt, we can't have a super fight. But he would have a super fight anyway, because you don't have a belt yet. You got to get a belt first to make it a super fight. Let's see. Yeah. John's last fight was February 8th, 2020. So it's now a year. It's now a full year. The same thing Conor had. Conor fought in January of 2020. Lost in January 2021. So the longer you wait, the more ring rust you're going to have. Now, I understand you're moving to a different weight class, but it really depends on who you're fighting. If you're fighting someone like Stipe, who can match you on the ground, is a bigger, stockier dude, it's going to be an issue. If you go against Ngannou, we know what Ngannou's going to do. We know what Ngannou's going to do to people. So let's hold off our horses saying that this super fight between the two of you is off. Izzy openly said, I'm not done fighting at light heavyweight. I'm still going to go for it. I probably do some better things and work on some better things on that. And I'm going to focus on that. I'm still going to go down to 185, defend my belt with a black iron fist, and do what I need to do. And then 185, he's kind of right on the point. There's no one at 185 I'm like, oh yeah, he should be worried about. Not really as far as I'm concerned. But I think it was a good night of fights. I think going forward, I kind of want to go over, let's see. Before we head out, I know next weekend is Bilal Muhammad versus Leon Rocky Edwards. That's going to be a dog fight. Please watch that fight if you are a fight fan. The next pay-per-view, however, is going to be UFC 260, which is March 27th. Yep, March 27th. We have 2 championship fights that night. Stipe Miocic is going to fight Ngannou for the second time. Can Ngannou improve what he did the last time versus Stipe? Stipe basically mauled him. He basically took him to the ground and did what he needed to do against him. The co-main event is Alexander Volkanovski versus Brian Ortega for the featherweight belt. Basically, Max is waiting in the wings at this point. As I like both these guys, I think Ortega could get a title shot. I think if Alex wins, that kind of kills any momentum of Max getting another title shot. But this also has the return of Tyron Woodley versus Vicente Luque. And to start the main card off, we have Sean O'Malley versus Thomas Almeida. This is Sean O'Malley's first fight since his injury against Chito Vera. No one really else on this card just yet, but we're we're gonna wait until see how this one sets up. But yeah, that's March 27th at the Apex in Vegas. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will see you guys next time. Peace and much love to you all.